Thank you for purchasing Self-Stick SA Cap and SA Nail Base from MB Technology. This premium self-adhesive SBS modified bitumen roofing membrane is manufactured with a superior high-tack formulation to allow application on residential and commercial low-slope roofs. This membrane, which comes in 3 solid color and 5 shingle blend granule finishes, can be installed nearly everywhere, but it is ideal for areas where hot asphalt, cold adhesives, and torch application are not the best options. While it is very simple to apply Self-Stick SA Cap and SA Nail Base, it is also very important to follow the directions carefully to maintain the 10 to 20-year material manufacturing warranty. So don't skip steps or cut corners, except for the corners of roofing materials we tell you to cut. Prior to installation, please review the rules, regulations, and best practices outlined by the National Roofing Contractors Association and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. When storing, make sure you store Self-Stick SA Cap rolls on their end in a dry location, preferably indoors, with a temperature between 50 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Never lay the rolls flat and do not keep them directly on the ground. It is also important to check the weather before application beginning. Self-Stick SA Cap should be installed when the temperature is 50 degrees or warmer. The bond of self-adhered membranes will not be at full strength when first installed and will need some ambient heat and time to gain full strength. The ideal temperature range for Self-Stick SA Cap is between 50 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit with dry conditions. No ice, snow, moisture, or dew. It's also important to note that Self-Stick SA Cap sheets may soften some when the temperature's near triple digits, so handle with care to ensure undamaged sheets. For self-adhering systems, it is crucial that all substrates are clean, dry, and free of any dust, oil, or other materials or irregularities that would prevent proper adhesion. It's important to note that phased roofing is not permitted with Self-Stick SA Cap. Blisters and improper adhesion is likely to occur on phased projects. You should also not apply over granulated surfacing or shingles. Self-Stick SA Cap membrane can be applied over MB Technology's film-surfaced base sheet. It can also be applied directly over primed wood deck, provided it is in a non-occupied space, such as a carport or porch. However, to truly provide protection and long-term reliability, it is recommended that you first attach a base sheet, such as one of MB Technology's choice of 2 mechanically attached base sheets, SA45 NB Nail Base or SA45P Self-Adhered Base, to the roof's substrate. Apply SA45 NB Nail Base sheet using 1-inch square or round metal cap nails. Start by cutting the SA45 NB nail base sheets into half-width strips to ensure the cap sheet side seams do not line up directly over the base sheet seams. Starting at the low slope side of the roof, position the 1/2 width sheet parallel to the edge of the roof, taking care to overhang the base sheet about 2 to 3 inches over the edge to accommodate the anticipated perimeter termination detail. Unroll the next sheet and let it relax in position, allowing it to remove any wrinkles to provide a smooth surface for all additional layers. At the edge of the roof, install edge metal. First, apply IAC 7 MBT Modified Bitumen Adhesive, then set the primed edge metal on top. Next, to better seal the flange at the base sheet base layer, nail the edge metal 3 inches on center in a staggered pattern using roofing nails. Finally, apply a 1/16 to 1/8 inch troweling of IAC 7 MBT Modified Bitumen Adhesive to the metal prior to installing the cap sheet over the edge metal. Using a notched trowel helps ensure a proper application rate of adhesive. MB Technology systems require the use of IAC 7 MBT SBS adhesives and cements. Other non-SBS cements may have an adverse reaction and damage the MB Technology membrane. Where flanged metal termination and penetration flashings are to be installed, they must be primed and should be installed in a 1/8 to 1/16 inch troweling of IAC 7 MBT SBS adhesive over the SA45 NB nail base sheet. In addition, it's important to apply IAC 7 MBT Modified Bitumen Adhesive to the top and bottom of any metal flanges prior to the application of the Self-Stick AP cap sheet. Now it's time to install the remaining base sheets. The first row of fasteners at the edge of the roof will be on 9-inch centers. Subsequent rows of base sheet should be positioned with the side lap aligned to the lay line on the preceding sheet. Position the sheet by pulling the sheet tight to avoid wrinkles, then allow the sheet to relax. Locate nails in the lap formed with the next course of base sheet. Next, locate the nails 14 inches from the leading edge on 18-inch centers. The third row of nails should be 26 inches from the leading edge on 18-inch centers. The centers for the second and third rows should be staggered to minimize the risk of uplift and other movements. Continue to apply the base sheet across the roof, overlapping the end of the preceding sheet a minimum of 6 inches. Then nail the overlap area a minimum of 9 inches on center. End laps and adjacent courses should be offset a minimum of 36 inches to reduce the risk of leaks. Repeat these steps as necessary to build one-layer SA45 MB nail base sheet. Phased roofing is not allowed. Neither is leaving your base sheet exposed to weather for more than 1 day. It's important to cover with self-stick SA cap the same day. When installing self-stick SA cap over any substrate, start at the low point of the roof parallel to the roof's edge and make sure no side laps are against the flow of water. Carefully fold the cap sheet in half lengthwise to remove the split-release film. Press the cap sheet securely into place and repeat with the other half of the cap sheet. Some installers prefer to position the cap sheet first and then remove both sides of the split-release film at once. Either way is acceptable, but this method does require 2 workers to prevent shifting. It is also recommended that you cut the cap sheets into lengths of 17 feet or less to make the material more manageable. Once the cap sheet is in place and the film has been removed, use a heavy-weighted roller of at least 75 pounds to properly secure it to the substrate. This is one step that some installers choose to skip, but failure to use a weighted roller can result in improper adhesion and eventually roof failure, so make sure you do not skip this step. When rolling, it's best to work from the middle to the sides to eliminate trapped air. Overlap side laps of subsequent self-stick cap sheets 4 inches and end laps 6 inches, and be sure to stagger the end caps at least 3 feet. Before applying the cap sheet end laps, trim the corner of the underlying sheet 4 inches on each side, creating a 45-degree cut. Proper T-joints are critical in self-adhering projects to prevent capillary action, which could lead to roof failure. It is important to note that you should apply IAC 7MBT Modified Bitumen Adhesive at the T-joint area and end laps for extra adhesion. Another important requirement of self-stick systems is end lap and flashing details. Because there is no additional adhesive between the base sheet and cap sheet, whenever there is an overlap of minerals, like end lap and flashing areas, it is essential to butter the minerals with a thin, uniform layer of IAC 7MBT Modified Bitumen Adhesive. This will help the system bond and eliminate a potential vulnerability in the roof. It is also recommended that you use a handheld hot air gun at the joint area where cap is not fully adhered to maximize the adhesion. After the cap sheets are in place and secured, use the heavy weighted roller over the entirety of the roof to secure the bond and to prevent voids. Again, work from the center of the sheet to the outside to eliminate trapped air. Any adhesive bleed out can be covered with loose matching granules to disguise the adhesive and give the project a more uniform look. When cutting insulation board and working around projections, clean all dust and materials from the insulation substrate because loose dust and particles can drastically decrease the bond between self-stick SA cap and the substrate. Over the existing installed self-stick SA cap sheet, apply ASTM D41 primer on jack flashing. Using the jack flashing as a guide, measure the area that will be covered by the flashing. Then, apply a uniform 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick layer of IAC 7MBT Modified Bitumen Adhesive over the self-stick SA cap sheet area that will be covered by the jack flashing. Then, install jack flashing. Use a handheld seam roller to ensure jack flashing is secure. Apply another uniform 1/8 to 1/4 inch layer of IAC 7MBT Modified Bitumen Adhesive, extending 4 to 6 inches beyond jack flashing. Finally, place the cut-to-fit section of self-stick AP cap on top, being sure to cover the base layer. Once the membrane has had a chance to bond, check all laps and joints for full adhesion. If the membrane can be lifted at any point, it is not adhered. It is suggested that you take a handheld seam roller and roll down any corners, laps, flashing areas, or other potential trouble spots to ensure a total and complete bond. A seam probing tool can help you detect any unbonded areas. A handheld hot air welding tool and seam roller can help adhere any unbonded areas if they exist. Once adhered, sprinkle granules over any uncovered 7 MBT Modified Bitumen Adhesive. With all vertical flashings, the flashing should be nailed off at the top and counterflashed and sheet adhered with IAC 7 MBT Modified Bitumen Adhesive. Thank you for watching this self-stick SA cap installation tutorial. By following the preceding directions carefully, you'll maximize both the strength of the roof system and the happiness of your clients. We invite you to continue the use of self-stick SA cap and to explore other fine MB Technology products found online at mbtechnology.com.